Hello, everyone. I'm Suzanne Bonamici, and I represent Oregon's first congressional district. And I'm here today with my friend and EV expert, Jeff Allen, who's the executive director of Fourth Mobility. And Jeff is going to help me explain how you can access electric vehicle incentives that are available to Oregonians. So you might have heard that the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ, has reopened Oregon's popular EV rebate programs, but it's only for a limited time. So in 2024, these state programs opened on April 3rd, and they will be open only until June 3rd. The state rebates can be combined with the federal EV tax credits in the Inflation Reduction Act legislation that I helped to write and pass in 2022. And this bill is a big deal. It's going to make the switch to greener technologies much easier and more affordable. But I understand it can be confusing to know how to qualify for or apply for these benefits. So Jeff and I are here to help answer questions that you might have. And before we get started, Jeff, anything you'd like to say at the outset?
Well, thanks so much for having me on. I agree. This is one of many generational investments in the Inflation Reduction Act and the infrastructure law. And it's one that I'm excited about because really virtually everyone has at least one car at home. And this is one of the biggest things you can do to make an impact on reducing your greenhouse gas emissions. And so it's really important that folks know how they can access some of these incentives to transition to an electric car.
Agreed. And Jeff, we know that transportation accounts for a significant portion of carbon emissions. So this is a big deal. Let's start out with how you can clarify what the rules are around the standard and charge ahead rebate that the state has made available in Oregon, and how consumers can take advantage of that rebate window that's open now to maximize their savings with both the state and the federal programs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you mentioned, it is the classic limited time offer while supplies last. So folks really need to move quickly. You need to both purchase the vehicle and take delivery of the vehicle by June 3rd to qualify. Oregon has actually two incentives. So there's the standard rebate, which is $2,500 for most electric cars. And actually you can get $750 on an electric motorcycle if you're into those. And that's available to anybody. And then there's the charge ahead rebate, which is up to $5,000. And that can be used for either a new electric vehicle or a used electric vehicle. But that's only available to folks who are income qualifying. And just one step further, you can stack those. So if you are an income qualifying resident of Oregon and you're purchasing a new electric vehicle or leasing a new electric vehicle, you can get $7,500 in state incentives on that vehicle if you act by June 3rd.
You mentioned that if people are eligible, so who would be eligible for a rebate, and what are the criteria? Is there an income limit, a price cap? How does it apply those income requirements or other requirements to new or used, and sale or lease? So if you could talk a little bit about those criteria, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can put a couple of websites for folks to dig into further at the end of this, hopefully.
Terrific.
But
Yes.
in Oregon, income qualified means 400% of the federal poverty guideline for household income. So ballpark for a family of four, that's about $125,000 a year. And again, there's a very handy calculator on the state website where you can figure out what you qualify for. For the federal tax credit, which is an additional up to $7,500 on a new car or up to $4,000 on a used car, there are also income requirements there. There you have to have adjusted gross income, for example, for a married couple filing jointly, of $300,000 or less. There's also limitations on both credits for the MSRP, the suggested retail price of the cars. So we're talking about vehicles generally with about $55,000 or less MSRP. It's a little bit higher for trucks and some other things. And then for the federal tax credit, we also have some restrictions designed to encourage domestic manufacturing of the vehicles and the batteries. So the credit varies based on where the vehicle is made, where the battery is coming from. But again, there's a very handy calculator on the federal website where you can go in and see, here's the car I'm thinking about, how much of an incentive does that qualify for?
So somebody's listening, so what would be your advice if there's a consumer out there, an Oregonian, who's intending to purchase an EV during that rebate time from April 3rd, but it's already April 23rd. So from today up until June of 2024, what advice would you give to them as they're beginning the process?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, act fast is the number one thing. It's really this state incentive program is a little bit the victim of its own success. We're working to get some more
Right.
funding into that program, but right now it's only guaranteed through June 3rd. And as I say, you have to take possession as well. So I would get online, do your research fast, start looking around your favorite dealerships and models to see what they have on hand, and move as quickly as you can. For the Oregon charge ahead rebate, you can also get pre-qualified. So you can go on the website, make sure you qualify, and document that, which then allows you to get that as a cash on the hood incentive.
So you'll know right away then if you can get pre-qualified. That will help in the shopping. So, and I think you touched on this, but can you clarify, can customers combine the charge ahead rebate with the federal tax credits?
Yes, they absolutely can. As long as you qualify and the vehicle qualifies for both, you can absolutely stack them. It's worth mentioning some local utilities in Oregon also have their own incentives. They're usually more modest, but you can stack all of those. And so just to take an example, you can find a used 3-year-old Chevy Bolt for maybe $20,000. And if you are income qualified, you can get $5,000 in Oregon incentive and $4,000 in federal incentive for that used EV, and take almost half the price
That's
off
really
the sticker.
significant.
It's
That is
amazing.
very,
And then
very significant.
when you think about the fact that driving on electricity is like getting your gasoline for $1 a gallon in Oregon, because it's so efficient and our electricity prices are so low, it
Exactly.
makes a huge difference.
What happens if somebody already bought an EV after April 3rd, but they didn't know about the program or the rebate at the time? What should they do, and do they qualify?
Yes, you do still qualify. If you have already bought, you can still apply online at the Oregon website. You can still get that. But again, I would do that pretty quickly and try and get that in
Right.
before June.
Clock is ticking. So if you want the discount, if you're shopping and you think this would be great, I'd really like my discount at the point of sale when I buy my EV. How do you find out what car dealerships are participating? Because it's my understanding that's a possibility. You can just get that rebate right at the point of sale.
That's right. And it's really important. We designed it that way for the Oregon rebate on purpose, because that way you can roll it into the financing of the vehicle. You can use that as a down payment.
Right.
Again, a lot of us don't have the money sitting around for a big down payment in a car loan. So this allows you to make that part of the financing. For the Oregon incentive, there's a list of eligible dealerships on their website. For the federal incentive at this point, that's a question you need to ask your dealer.
So what if there's, Jeff, what if there's a car dealership or a salesperson who said, well, we can't do the credit or the rebate at the point of sale? What should the customer do then?
Well, I think the first thing that's most important is to be clear at the beginning of your search when you're talking to the dealership and to the salesperson that that's what you want to do, and confirm that they can do it. Because if they're not willing to, there's probably another dealer who is. And again, know your rights, know from those web resources what's available. And unfortunately, you may have to insist with some of these salespeople, but I think you'll find one that's willing to work with you.
It's a good place to practice some advocacy. And of course, if someone's really struggling with that, in the first congressional district, please contact my office and we can help you navigate. So does the buyer need to have particular documents to get the tax credit or the available incentives? And would this differ between the state and federal programs? What would they need to have with them?
Yeah, it does differ. So for the Oregon regular standard rebate, there's no specific documentation. You just apply online. For the charge ahead income qualifying rebate, you do need to document income verification. You can do that in a couple of different ways. And again, you can pre-qualify online. So you do not have to show any of your financial information to the car dealership. Obviously, that's not something we want to ask people to do,
Right,
but you can get pre-qualified on the website. For the federal tax credit, you actually get the document when you make the purchase. You get something called a time of sale report that you'll use to file for the incentive.
Terrific. So Jeff, it's my understanding that the credits available in these programs really apply to a significant number of people. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, the federal credits are available for quite a few vehicles. They do have some cost caps and some income caps. But the other thing to emphasize is that one way to access that incentive, the federal incentive, is through a vehicle lease. So some automakers are able to bundle the incentive into a lease, even if you're not income qualifying. For the state incentives in Oregon, the charge ahead incentive is income qualified, but at 400% of poverty line, that encompasses a lot of people. And the standard incentive is available for anybody in the state. The other thing that's worth mentioning is those incentives are available in Oregon to small businesses and nonprofit organizations and government entities as well. So it's not just for personal vehicles. If you use vehicles in your business or at your nonprofit organization, you can access those incentives as well.
That's very, very helpful. And I know that the goal of these policies is to get as many people, as many small businesses into electric vehicles, because we know, again, that transportation is a significant source of carbon emissions. And let's all do our part. And in reducing those carbon emissions, we know it's good for our communities, good for public health, and good for the planet. So thank you.
That's absolutely right. Might also mention Unit of Concerned Scientists estimates that an average EV driven in Oregon is like driving a car that gets over 100 miles per gallon on a life cycle
amazing.
Carbon basis. So like I said, you can cut your carbon emissions by more than half overnight by switching to an electric vehicle. It's pretty dramatic.
Well, that's a lot of ground we've covered, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff, and appreciate not only you, but all of Fourth and all that you're doing to educate Oregonians about the benefits of EVs and a decarbonized transportation system. So everyone watching, if you found this video useful, please share it with your friends and family. Again, the program is just until June 3rd, but it's a tremendous opportunity. And if you still have questions, please check out the many helpful resources that Fourth has on their website. I also have a page on my website at bonamici.house.gov. And this explains how to save on EVs, but also more about the home energy efficiency upgrades and additional information about those as well. So in Congress, I will continue working on policies and investments to address the climate crisis and lower costs for Oregonians. And Jeff, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just want to say thank you for your leadership. And as you say, this is a great example of a way to do right by the climate and save money on your transportation costs, and frankly, get a better car. If you've not test driven an electric car, you need to go check one out. You will not be disappointed.
And you won't miss buying gas.
Absolutely not.
Well, thank you again, Jeff, and thank you to Fourth, and thank you to my staff who helped organize this we hope helpful webinar for all of you. And again, thank you, Jeff, for joining us, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.